So Handlock going to be the starts for both of these players, and it's been a deck that has kind of had some very, very different games. You know, in some spots it looks like Handlock is just absolutely unstoppable, but in other times it feels like it's just always one step behind.
Yeah, and I mean, earlier in the tournament, it was seeming like Handlock was getting the best of these Control Warrior matchups, but in the last couple times we've seen Warrior versus Handlock, it really has seemed like Warrior has just been crushing it. So, I mean, I think this first one is very important. But I mean, Warrior's probably going to be a pretty good answer to Handlock for whoever loses.
I needed a glimpse at both hands here. We have Twilight Drake and Mountain Giant for Pini. Just a Mountain Giant for Dart right now. Second Twilight Drake picked up, so I got to think that the early advantage is slightly in favor of Pini in this spot, but Dart's certainly not short on the availability in terms of what he's got. He's got 2 Sludge Belchers even to follow up that Mountain Giant, so
yeah,
really high potential to stick
he has
the
the
board.
potential to draw into to more answers as well here.
Yep. I gotta believe it's Mountain Giant right here.
Yeah.
This is a turn where you're a little bit nervous about seeing something like Big Game Hunter, but what option do you have? You have to fight the Mountain Giant that's on the board, and really going through there. So
yeah, and we're gonna have that graphic up for you for the signs in just a second. It's just being thrown together, but yeah, should be pretty interesting. And I mean, I feel like this is personally, if this were me, I think I would just be trading and dropping a Twilight Drake. But there's some merits to some other options here as well. I mean, do you think there's any chance we see trade it into 3/3, recombobulate it, something like that?
I mean, that's definitely what he's looking at. Recombobulator actually,
yeah,
it might be blinding him to the way some of these turns are going to be panning out. Because I would like to see him develop the Twilight Drake, but if he's not developing Twilight Drake, something that's on his mind for sure
is the recombobulator play,
or just Silence or Mortal Coil. Yeah, maybe that's influencing him to kind of weight himself towards the Recombobulator too. But he doesn't even have to play the Recombobulator. I think if he's going to attack this 3/3, I'd like to see him just play the Earth Ring Farce here instead. And then sometimes even when he attacks this 3/3, I'd like to just see him play a Twilight Drake. I think all of his options are kind of fine at this point. And when he attacks this Mountain Giant, he's trying to restrict his opponent's availability to something like Mortal Coil. You just run into the Drake and Mortal Coil and clean that up. Dart picks up a second Mountain Giant though,
which is very important there.
Yeah, this is a really big deal right now, because he was otherwise, kind of have to sit behind Sludge Belcher, but a little bit of extra damage on his board. But the life totals, I think they don't really matter too much right now. You don't want to get your opponent too low until you can actually outright kill him. So both of these guys, there's going to be damage swinging back and forth, but mostly they're going to be focused on getting control of the board and going from there.
Yep, so he's going to trade in, take out that 3/3, and ooh, the Silence is drawn, but does he actually care to use it in this position? Because he didn't actually have the Mortal Coil or anything with it, so I don't know if it's actually even worth doing. I really don't think it is. I think I would rather just see him drop the Belcher and trade in. I mean, you definitely don't want to put your opponent, into too low HP just yet.
So attacking this
Twilight
Twilight Drake here
is better because it's forcing him to have like a Mortal Coil or something.
Well, in a spot like this, maybe you don't want to activate Mortal Coil for your opponent. That's definitely a possibility.
Dark Bomb also has to be a consideration.
Yeah, and the second thing about this too is when this Lotheb runs into this, he's got a 1/2 available now. So Defender of Argus could actually pick up the pieces and run right over this Lotheb afterwards.
Well, it is going to be the Shadow Flame play to clear things up with that Ancient Watcher. So nicely done there, and I'm thinking this is just a pretty nice Dr. Boom turn.
Yeah, I don't think it's getting much better than this.
No. There's not too many situations in which it's a bad Dr. Boom turn. It's kind of what I'm discovering in this tournament.
Really good recovery turns and really good pressure turns from both of these opponents so far. And it's going to be a matter of who's going to run out of gas first. But life taps available for both players and so many cards in hand. What's the best way to fight for board is really what they're looking at. No direct answer to this Dr. Boom right now. This may be one of the turning points of the game.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough choice. Because the thing is, if you don't trade your Lotheb into the Dr. Boom, then there's a pretty decent chance that one of those bombs is going to land on your Lotheb and give you that free trade. So, although it's not something you really want to do, I almost feel like you're kind of forced into it.
It's certainly a tough spot because, he's looking at that Recombobulator too. Like, what can you get out of this 5 drop that ends up being super solid? Do you want to risk running into a Boombot and then recombobulating it first? Do you want to just go ahead and taunt up both these guys? Maybe you're going for face damage.
I think what he's looking at is just taunting up the Drake and going face. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, there's a pretty decent chance of the Boombots actually hitting you even behind it. So he's actually just going to taunt them both up. And will he in fact go face? He does. We'll see where the Boombots will land.
Definitely got to be worried about Shadow Flame, I think, in this position. But pretty fortunately
Argus is actually pretty nice as well because it does allow the bot to trade directly with that Lothep.
Yeah, this is also a spot where he's
Silence
definitely going to
is great
silence.
too,
Yeah. So
really has kind of all the answers here. I mean, I think you silence it up, you Argus, you trade the 2/2 Boombot into the Lotheb, you trade your 1 damage one into the Drake if it still lands, if it's still alive rather, and I mean you're allowed to do a lot of damage after that if you decide to go for it.
pretty rough
With
stuff
BGH
here.
sitting in hand as well, I don't think you're too scared about going face, but you know it's going to be up to him if he actually decides to go for that, and is he actually just going to decide to ton up that owl? That would be kind of interesting. Okay, so it's going to be the owl.
I kind of like toning up this owl because it means you're not going to have to clear up this this Sunfury Protector every time. So yeah, and like just like you said, with the Big Game Hunter in hand, he's actually just going to go.
Yeah,
I
you're just
imagine
gonna
this
go
goes straight
face.
for face. It's just so much damage at this point.
Especially because the bot's already hit it, so you can get free Molten Johns regardless. There's
Yeah.
no reason to not go face, I
Oh
think.
my gosh!
Wow,
Yeah,
go face. It's got to be face.
It's 7 damage.
Come on.
Don't 7 extra damage picked up.
Oh, BGH off the top is very nice. I
Wow.
mean, now he has the potential to BGH. He can drop a Molten. He can
That-
anti-Keel bot. That's a huge draw
Yeah,
there.
that's massive at this point. Gets a Molten Giant, gets NT Keelbot.
These are the swing turns that you love. And I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
without that BGH there, I think he actually just lost.
Oh, you didn't have another answer for it. You could taunt up behind it, but you still got to be worried about Shadow Flame and things like that afterwards. So, Dart's still not sitting in the worst position ever. He's got his
No,
own
of
Big
course
Game
not.
Hunter to handle this, and lots of ways to reinitiate the pressure onto Penny's side of the board. He's got more cards. He's got more life. He's going to have more board presence after this turn. You got to like his chances.
I mean, I wouldn't mind just seeing, BGH come out. You could just deal with the big, his trade in with your own Big Game Hunter. Trade into his same Big Game Hunter and just drop a Belcher. I mean, Belcher's pretty reasonable. I think Sylvanas would have been pretty nice play here as well too. But either way, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I
The
think
Iron
the
Beak
Belcher's
Owl is
best here
there,
just
too.
because it protects your Big Game Hunter.
Yeah.
But he's got Iron Beak Owl, but is that the answer he wants to be using?
No, I mean,
Right
especially
now?
with Sylvanas not having come down yet, it's kind of a scary position.
Yeah. Yep, I don't like using the Belcher. I don't like using the silence here either. I think he should just develop his board position and hope for the best.
Now, I mean, this does set up a decent Mortal Coil play if he does decide to go for that. And I think that's going to be the option here.
Yep.
Now, Recombobulator just seems like how do you feel about this card? Because to me, it just seems like it's just being too clunky. I mean, I've seen it in a couple decks in this tournament. Not one time in the entire tournament has it yet been played. It just sits in hand. It does nothing. It seems like I'm not sure if it's just too small of a sample size to really make a judgment on it, but it just seeming like I understand that it can get a massive amount of value, but it's just seeming like one of those cards that's just not really consistent enough. It's just
I think this is just what's going to happen when you're fighting against people who are going to apply a lot of pressure to the board.
Yeah.
It's tougher to get value
So
out of situational
do you think it's
cards.
still worth having it?
But it's tough to say.
'Cause,
Maybe
I mean, what are you cutting to put?
maybe
that in
that's
there?
the kind of edge you're looking for, though, is to try to set up one of those, just another little swing turn available for you against a tournament like this. Because when you're playing against people of this caliber, where's your edge?
Yeah.
What are you trying to accomplish? Maybe that's exactly what you need is something like a big recombobulator turn. Especially Pini could just be like a testament that he's a little bit aware of the fact that he's a slight underdog to these players too. I mean, that's
True.
We've seen him make a lot of plays consistent with that line of thought as well, and he's been, kind of been falling behind in these positions. I don't think really it's recombobulator is the reason he's falling behind. I think it's just a matter
No,
of the fact
of course not.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming any losses
Sure.
specifically on that, but I'm just saying if it's a card that you're having this much trouble getting into play, I feel like it has to be something that you need to start considering. Is what are you losing to get that in there? What could that other card have made a big difference? I mean, what if that was a Black Knight or something instead? If you're going to play with a tech card looking for a big swing turn like that, would something like the Black Knight not have been a better option? I mean, that's something that pretty much is guaranteed to get a lot of value in these games, especially with how many handlock mirrors we had. I feel like that would be a card that almost every time would get played and get value.
definitely true. Just this game is, it's sort of another tale that Dart is, again, he just has so many options available to him.
How do you feel about not turning up the owl there as well? Why do you think that is?
Um,
He played the owl deliberately after the Argus, and I just don't understand why. Because I mean, it's not like you would rather his ooze hit your 4/1 than
this may just be pressure getting to him at this point. Maybe he's he's already in that negative mindset where he's like, well, I lost 3 straight. I'm already losing this game. This may just be one of those spots where
Didn't seem like a rushed turn, though. It seemed kind of deliberate, but I just can't understand a reason why you would do that.
I don't really think there is one.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a mistake. I mean, not saying it will come into play, but
it likely won't come into play. But it's good to not have that sort of habit, is to be making that sort of mistake.
And sometimes that 1 damage does actually matter. You know, it does actually come into play.
A spot like this, like say he drew Hellfire.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, it's like, you know, if you siphon that up, you could actually have traded the owl into the Sentry, and in this position, you're actually not able to. So it actually does come into play here. I mean, this should be a 3/2 owl that could trade with that, and it's not.
I think he's going to find some recombobulator value here, though.
We'll see how much value it gets, but yeah, that's actually he just had to lose his minion for free because of that.
What's the best minion this could turn into?
Oh, it's not going to go for it.
Wow. He's going to continue to hold on. Decides he needs more value out of it. And once again, Dart. 9, 10 cards in hand. Another Molten Giant heals himself back up. And it's just every step of the way, Pini is finding himself on the receiving end of the pressure.
Yeah.
And having to find a way to deal with it in response. Look, you know, this is something we saw early in the tournament, was an Earth Ending Farseer on your opponent's face to prevent Molten Giants, and Dart's going to utilize that effect again. It's pretty rare that you see that at all, and to see it twice in one tournament so far. Keep tapping. I imagine you got to play this Sludge Belt. It's so scary to play Mountain Giant onto a board like this. It's just going to get traded away. But this Sludge Belcher is just going to get run straight over too. It's buying him some time, but he needs a lot more of it. He needs Lando Calrissian to get him some more time, man.
Yeah, definitely does. And okay, so Twilight Drake going down here.
But you know, now Dart's he's facing a little bit of pressure at this point because he's down to 12. He doesn't have any taunts available. None of these are good Siphon Soul targets.
No. I mean, he does still have the anti-kill bot and stuff available.
It's going to slow down his turns a little bit. Maybe this is sort of the recovery that Penny needed to get back in this game. I mean, we see Shadow Flame in his hand. Maybe he is just going to get just enough time.
Very well may. I mean, both players still sitting with that anti-kill bot. We'll see what the turn is going to be here. I mean, it could just be an Ancient Watcher Shadow Flame turn.
And follow up with the Twilight Drake? Or just play the Twilight Drake first, rather?
Yep.
Wow. Is he going to Shadow Flame his Sylvanas to steal the token?
Wow.
That's exactly what he's going to do. And this actually gives him a taunt, too. And 8 points of damage coming across. You know, I really like this. It's a very aggressive stance. I think he can believe Molten Giant's not in the hand of his opponent right now. Penny down to just 6 points of health. Picks up Lord Jiraxxus. He has access to Anti-Healbot. But how does he deal with the 8/8 Molten Giant that's on the board right now?
It's going to be tough. I mean, he's going to be down to 14 HP after he uses the hero power if he does decide to actually go with Jiraxxus, if he uses that weapon. So, I mean, trading into the Ooze, that'll put him at 14 HP. His opponent has the potential to deal 11 damage already with his own Jiraxxus plus that.
I mean, he's got to go with Jiraxxus here, I think, because he just needs to stabilize with these 6/6 minions and the taunts afterwards. But this has got to be a scary position. You know, typically I think the person who plays Jiraxxus first is at an advantage, but right now he didn't have a way to deal with this 8/8 Molten Giant, so not the kind of position he wants to be in. Dart's just going to respond with a Jiraxxus of his own.
He's going to be able to put him down so low. I mean, God, he's going to be down to 3 HP after this turn. One more just whack with the hero power will do it. And I mean, the fact is he has a Soul Siphon, Siphon Soul rather, to be able to get through a taunt. So he's going to need to get 2 taunts up here.
And he draws Molten Giant afterwards, but he can't play it efficiently because
he needs to taunt up 2 minions or he's dead.
His max life total is 15 right now. So this Molten Giant costs 8 instead of being free.
Can he actually? He needs to play Recombobulator and taunt that up. That's the only way he lives. If he only taunts up this, he loses because 7 soul plus the attack. He needs to have 2 minions taunted up. Even then, he's dead. No, either way, he's dead, actually, because Soul Siphon, the 8/8 into 1, hero power will kill him. So that is game regardless. There is no play. I don't think that can really save him. I mean, this doesn't do it. And I guess he's going to have to recombobulate and pray that he gets a taunt.
He could get a Sludge Belcher off of the recombobulator.
I mean, that could do it.
This is the exact spot where he's just going to concede. He's not even going to reveal the recombobulator. Wow, I got to believe that Penny right now, that the pressure is getting to him.
That seems like a bit of a tilt there.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. get that pressure under control and make sure you don't make any mistakes. He cues Druid up into handlock, and this is a situation where I think a lot of times Druid was not favored versus handlock, but you've got access to Pilot and Shredder now. We know that Penny's playing Big Game Hunter. I believe there's also Black Knight in this list. This is a matchup where if he draws the right swing cards at the right time, it's going to see absolute domination in the Druid's favor. Sometimes it'll just feel like the handlock can't do anything. This hand, he's got a strong curve, but he doesn't have Innervate. He's almost certainly looking for stuff like Keeper of the Grove and for Black Knight and for Big Game Hunter to really get this game under his wing.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he's done very well for himself with this Druid deck in general. He swept this series yesterday. Today it didn't work out for him. Already has 2 Force of Natures in there. He does have a very nice curve. He can pick up the Savage Roar within these next couple turns. I mean, he has the potential to really turn up the heat. And that's something that you have to play around as when you're fighting a Druid, even if they don't have it. That's the thing. You always have to make plays based on that. So sometimes you're actually forced into making suboptimal plays because of the potential that they could have that combo. You know what I mean? It's like, you're like, oh, well, it'd really be nice to say develop a Dr. Boom or something, but I'm at 14 HP or I'm at 12 HP. I need to heal here instead. And you're developing something that's much weaker board position and things like that simply because of the position you're putting yourself in. So
the range of possibilities is really the bigger tell. That's one of the reasons why swing cards are so powerful. It's not only the effect they provide, but sort of the mental position they put your opponents in. You have to be afraid of these situations. If you play Mountain Giant and if it gets Big Game Hunter, you're going to lose. That's going to be in your mind when you're about to play Mountain Giant. It's something you're going to think about. It will change your play sometimes. Sometimes it won't, and you'll be rewarded at the times when your opponent doesn't have it, and punished so much when they do. But that's
if that's the best play, that's the best play.
That's a risk associated with just playing the game. This is what makes Hearthstone so difficult. Penny, he's actually going to unleash his Shade here.
And the Dark Bomb is going to...
I still don't mind unleashing the Shade here, though, and the reason is because when you make this kind of play, it really sends a message to your opponent that you have something like Big Game Hunter in your hand. And look, like, he's just going to Shadow Flame here. It's such good value. Wow, Penny gets a Captain's Parrot off of his piloted Shredder to compound the fact that he may already be in a defeated mindset. He gets Captain's Parrot. I mean, he's got to ignore the fact that the luck is not on his side right now. He's just got to move forward and clear that out of his mind. Yeah, because he's still got a strong hand moving forward. I mean,
Dark Bomb Mortal Coil is pretty nice. There is no big 4-drop threat, so this is definitely the obvious play here, and he'll get a little bit more card draw, see if he can pick anything up.
But really need something like another Druid of the Claw, Spectral Knight.
Yeah, Spectral Knight.
Even Spectral Tiger would be
Shredder.
A fine. Spectral Tiger would even be a fine choice. He's not playing it, but a Spectral Tiger, Stranglethorn Tiger.
How do you feel about just Innervate Dr. Boom now? I feel like you need to.
Innervate was the perfect draw in this situation. I said Spectral Tiger. I meant Stranglethorn Tiger. See, now I'm taking influence from you.
Spectral Tiger, the WoW mount would be pretty cool too.
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Would be a great draw.
Cost.
Yeah, I mean. There you go. Even if you lose, you can just sell the Spectral Tiger afterwards.
Yeah, perfect. Make back all that money he potentially lost on the match. Big Game Hunter going to swing this board again back in the favor of Dart, and I gotta believe he's only going to Sun Fury Protector this Ancient Watcher. Wow, he's going to Sun Fury Protector up Big Game Hunter. This is something we've seen a lot of people do, is just try to absorb a lot of damage. Penny picks up Innervate, and this time he doesn't have a threat. That's got to be one of the worst draws in his deck. It will allow him to double swipe this turn, but is that really what he wants to do?
I think he's just gonna use his Force of Nature and try to clear that way. I mean, to me, you go Captain's Parrot into the BGH, and then you throw a bomb in there, and then you see where the first bomb lands.
There's a lot of different ways to sequence his Force Nature too. I mean, if you think about how many different combinations of ways there is to do this,
I mean,
there's a ton.
But that way you're guaranteed not wasting any damage. That's what I kind of like about it. Because any other way you can lose damage. Because the thing is, if you trade this into that and then you get a 4 on the 4/2, then you're wasting damage. If you get a 4 on the, you know what I mean?
Gosh, I gotta like the swipes here.
Okay.
I think.
Just double swipe, you think?
Maybe not even double swipe, just single swipe and then let the boombots do some work. Yeah. I would prefer to keep my minions on the board, and the reason is just because Savage Roar. But I think this plays fine too. He can still run a boombot in here. If the boombot gets lucky, he can move forward. He'll still keep a decent board presence. It looks like, he gets a 1 damage roll off the boombot here too, and a 2 damage roll off the second one. So well below average for those boombots.
Yeah.
And yields Dart initiative, but Dart's at 15. This is a spot where he does have to be thinking about his life total. He's got one more turn before combo is without Innervate, so it's a natural combo. This may be a turn where we see him play something like Antique Healbot instead of Mountain Giant. Maybe Life Tap coming out to pick up an extra card to reduce the cost of his Mountain Giant and effectively use all his mana really well. This is a prime example of what you were talking about earlier, with how the range of cards, even when they're not present, affect the way a player is going to think.
I wouldn't be surprised to see this here, though. But I mean, this he could actually win if he gets Savage Roar here. That's game.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be lethal. So he did have 2 outs to just draw it straight away. Piloted Shredder's still not a bad pickup, though. At every stage of the way, a Savage Roar is going to be a frightening thought of a draw for Dart. So I got to imagine that Antique Healbot's probably going to come out here, but
this is going to be such a powerful turn, though. I mean, he can tap. He could tap, have a free Molten Giant, and then heal up, or he could tap, have a free Molten Giant and Sludge Belcher.
Yeah. If he Sludge Belchers, he's still in range of combo, though, unless he takes out this Piloted Shredder.
Right.
So, it wouldn't surprise me to see him actually attack this Piloted Shredder. But if he attacks the Piloted Shredder, then what if he gets a Doomsayer off of that? We've seen so many crazy situations happen, but these are things you got to think about.
Yeah.
Wow, if Pini draws Savage Roar, he's actually still got this game. Unless he attacks this Piloted Shredder and a bad minion summoned off of it. He needs a 2 power or less minion to be summoned off of that.
Yeah, you could get like a Light Well or something like that. I mean,
Yep.
There are some cards. Let's see what the draw is. It's actually pretty important. So
wow. And he draws Savage Roar. Pini is 1 damage off of lethal now.
Can he innervate and get the extra?
Wait.
With the hero power?
Does that matter?
No,
so
I don't think it matters.
He can't divide the damage.
So you can't do 5 exactly.
Maybe I lied to you. Maybe this is. No, because he can't kill the Sludge Belcher in 1 swing. He needed a 3 power minion to kill the first body of Sludge Belcher in 1 swing.
I mean, I think he's just going to drop 1 Force of Nature now and maybe try to clear some things up. He could also just swipe, but there's another Belcher in hand here, and I mean that is rough, man. What's the percentage chance if you get a 3-attack minion here? I mean, it has to be pretty high.
That I don't know. I'd have to go specifically calculate
It's gotta be, I'd say
there's a lot of 3-2s, there's a lot of 2-3s, a lot of 1-1s. There's a couple 4 power minions.
It has to be at least 30-40% chance to get it.
I don't know. I'd have to actually. That's something I want to see. If one of you math guys out there wants to go and figure that out and then tweet at us, use the hashtag Tavern Takeover at AzaleWow, at PvP Live, at That's Admirable. I'd really appreciate that because I would love to know what those numbers are specifically.
Things like that, when you're already in a bit of a frustrated mindset, though, can really get to you.
Yeah, I can't discredit him for swiping here. I probably would swipe as well, and then he's got to use the Force Nature afterwards. But this still kind of opens up his side of the board. It forces Dart to have something. We can see that it does, but this is Penny's best chance to win.
Yep.
I think is making a play like this.
He's not out of it just yet. We'll have to see exactly. Oh my God! Has he not finished his turn? Wow!
Oh my gosh! The animations.
He missed 2 attacks.
Oh my gosh! The animations absolutely crushing Penny's ability to make sure he finishes this game. I don't know if it makes much of a difference because, again, Dart's just got so many answers in his hand.
Oh my God, man.
But that's got to be a bad feeling.
That's horrible. Yeah, that's got to be game. Pretty much.
Alex draws himself back to 15. And
it's a token
if that token wasn't on the board...
That would have forced a Sludge Belcher at least. Yeah. I mean, it could change the game somewhat.
Picks up a Keeper of the Grove. The Keeper of the Grove is going to have to get attacked here as well, but... I don't know. He's got no innervates left, so he doesn't have a way to push that 15th final point of damage. And I think this is just exactly the kind of position he didn't need to be in. Dart's just going to swing this game completely out of his control. He's got 16 damage on the board, and he's got a Sludge Belcher and an Antique Healbot in his hand. Penny knows that this game is basically over at this point. It's just a matter of going through the motions.
Pretty much got to be it. I mean, I just don't see any way he can come back now. The Antique Healbot going to come out. The Sludge Belcher going to come out. 16 damage. Going to go to the face, and I think this will be the concede for Pini. Already going to be down 2-0 against Dart here in this 3rd place match, and you can see under the pressure, Pini starting to crack a little bit. I mean, mistakes in the first game, mistakes in the second game didn't really come into play here, but still, it's things. You can tell the frustration, the pressure is kind of getting to Pini a bit here. But it is, in fact, Dart up 2 games, playing the handlock still. Pini going to be the one playing this control warrior. And this is going to be what we have going on here.
Yep, really strong start here, too, from Pini. He's already got a Shield Slam. He's already got an Execute. He's got a couple of minions to make sure he gets the ball rolling here. It doesn't seem like very much, but Cruel Taskmaster and Armor Smiths, that can start to threaten something like a Giant or a Twilight Drake.
Certainly can, and... picking up the Ragnaros. Alright, it's going to be armoring up here. And I mean, keeping that armor total high is so important for the Shield Slam. I mean, the hero power, when you're deciding to use it, really is very important.
Still trying to get this feed up on Dart's side of the board. We'll have it for you as quickly as we can. Until then, we're going to be working off the range of plays available. So something that definitely doesn't want to see right now is a Mountain Giant or a Twilight Drake, even though he's got some potential answers to him.
Does have the execute, but yeah, you definitely are hoping your opponent doesn't have them.
This is actually this is kind of a big threat too, because he picks up Fiery War Axe. I was just about to say he didn't have a weapon. It's relieved to see that.
I mean, definitely could have dealt with it with Cruel Task, but you would have to give up the Armor Smith there. So this is definitely the much nicer play. So as soon as Dart does invite us up, we will have that feed live for you guys. But in the meantime, we're just watching from Pini's perspective. If you're just now tuning in, this is the third place match, best of 7 here. And it is a 2-0 lead already for Dart. He's already taken out 2 of the decks here for Pini. So Pini not only has to win here, he's got to win potentially 4 of the next 5 games.
Yeah, it's a lot of games he's got to win. And Sludge Belcher, this start's been a little bit problematic for him, actually. Dart has slower of a start, but the fact that his start was slower actually kind of applying more pressure given this specific hand range that
it's not
Pini
something
has.
You want to execute.
You're right. I mean, this is like an absolute terrible target to use an execute or a shield slam.
Not a shield slam either, especially because you don't even have the armor, like the proper armor for it. I mean, you could Cruel Task it and then armor up and shield slam to finish it off, but kind of gross. I think it's just going to be weapon, Armor Smith, Task to finish it off, but not ideal.
You could just use 2 Cruel Taskmasters on the Belcher too.
True. But
do you
really want to give up both the activators? Wow.
Yeah,
he's not what I thought.
He's not gonna give up his
He could have kept his Armor Smith alive by just Cruel Tasking to finish that off.
Yeah, he could have, but it's going to be threatened straight away by this 1/2 slime.
But then you get an additional armor, and it's forcing him to attack into that. And now this is threatened by Mortal Coil and stuff. Is that just not?
He might have been trying.
Mistake?
He might have been trying to avoid Mortal Coil this turn, just hoping his opponent was going for his face instead. But some minor sequencing stuff. Again, it's just sort of.
But that just seems to me like there's Mortal Coils available here anyway.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of hoping his opponent would have an oversight of that.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a Dark Bomb and just Earth Ring Farseer coming down. So still waiting on that feed. We'll get that for you guys as fast as possible.
Despite pretty good draw here, I think he just needs something to get the ball rolling here.
Yep.
And going to be getting Dart's feet up just a second. We're going to get a glimpse at his hand
loading in now here.
Yeah. Again, his start has been so slow. I'm curious if he's been holding stuff or if he just hasn't had the options for it.
He just did pick up a Mountain Giant, so he has the Mountain Giant, 2 Molten Giants available as well. BGH in hand. Pretty hefty hand.
Yeah, I got to believe he wants to start tapping every turn and kind of consistent with his gameplay. And I think he's going to play this Sludge Belcher here. These Mountain Giant's going to get cheaper the more cards he gets in his hand. So next turn, this Mountain Giant available for 3 mana should he choose to life tap.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, if your opponent doesn't have minions down on the board, the Acolyte is definitely a nice draw there. So that is going to get him a couple draws for sure.
I got to think Cruel Taskmaster is going out of this Acolyte too. He just needs he needs more gas. He needs to keep his life total healthy. He needs to have options available. We talked about Warrior in some of these earlier matches, and he's actually going to choose to not use Cruel Taskmaster here. Maybe favoring to save it to activate that execute, so I can't blame him for that. But I got to think that picking up cards is something you're very concerned with.
Yeah, I mean, especially just given the plays that this Warlock has had. I mean, it just hasn't really been the nice answers that you'd like to have. I mean, when stuff like Sludge Belchers and Earth Ring Farseers and things are coming down, you want to answer those with minions. You don't want to answer those with your shield slams and your executes and things like that. You really want to have those available to be able to,
Look at this. Dart is going to fill up Pini's hand to try to burn a card.
Wow.
And favoring getting his own Mortal Coil draw as well. This burn could be actually really important.
Yeah, it's going to be really important. Let's see what he... Sylvanas! And that card is massive.
Wow. That's gotta hurt. This seems like a pretty decent brawl turn for me here too. But I can't blame him for wanting to go with his execute instead. It's just he's got to. This will help him develop too. You get the Loatheb down. Maybe he can save brawl for a better turn. The fact that he lost that Sylvanas, maybe he feels like he needs to get a little bit extra value out of that later.
I mean, we've seen how much value that card can have. It's just so game.
He still had the coin in his hand too. If that Sylvanas didn't get burned, there was a potential for brawl and Sylvanas in the same turn to be played. Sylvanas hasn't been 5 mana for a long time, but that used to be one of the best plays that you could have. Dart's going to go on the aggressive with Alexstrasza and press the issue onto his opponent right now. He doesn't have burst available in his hand, but you gotta feel like this 8/8's just a big problem. This may have to be a Ragnaros turn.
There's no answer to it. Yeah, I mean, if he drops a Rag and he loses the 50-50, that could just straight up put him in a position where he's not going to be able to come back from. It's going to be huge. I mean, with Dr. Boom could follow it up.
He's going to have to roll the dice with Ragnaros. He needs this hit right now. It is so important. This might be the turn that Pini needs to get himself back into this game because everything has gone well for Dart. It hits the Alex Straza. My gosh, what an important turn. But Dart's got access to Mountain Giant and Shadow Flame to clear this board position out. He's going to yield initiative to his opponent, but...
What do you feel about just the BGH here instead?
Well, if he he could BGH Shadow Flame, he could Mountain Giant Shadow Flame, but I think if you're going to Shadow Flame here, you want the BGH in your hand to help shore up the potential threats that are coming out, because when you see this Ragnaros, I just
don't think he's going to actually Shadow Flame, but he may. Let's see.
He's just going to BGH instead.
Yeah, let's see if he does decide to Shadow Flame. But I don't think it's going to be a Shadow Flame. I think he may just taunt up here or just tap and end the turn.
Yep, I think he's going to taunt up both these minions. You know, it's been very consistently taunting up both, just valuing the extra.
There's the tap. So he may taunt up with the Sun Fury, yep.
So Sun Fury, again, very consistent in his gameplay. He's been taunting up both, but this is a spot where I think I'd like to see him taunt up only this big game hunter. That's exactly what he's going to do. So Lotheb in check for the moment. There's Fiery War Axe and Shield Slam in hand. Picks up a Shield Maiden, so he's able to deal with the Mountain Giant now. That Ragnaros hit may have been the swinging point for Pini. So much gas in hand, but
you have to feel that if it missed, it simply would have been game. I mean, it could have been BGH plus Dr. Boom, and how do you answer that kind of a board when he would have been to such a low life total? But a massive swing there for Pini. You know, he's taking some control onto the board. He gets a huge value Shield Slam. He has the Ragnaros hit land where he needed it, and you know he's right back into this game.
I gotta believe this is Dr. Boom.
I agree.
You know, you think about how much damage on the other side of the board. You've seen both Cruel Taskmasters, so Grommash is only available for 10 damage instead of 12. You know, I don't think he's expecting Inner Rage to be in his opponent's range ever. And you know, that card used to be played a lot. You know, at times it pops up, you know, occasionally. But
there's the Clowny, like the Inner Rage on the Worgen Wind Fury deck.
Oh yeah, that deck was good for a while.
Yeah. What is the card even called? The 3/3 Worgen?
Raging Worgen.
Raging Worgen. Yeah. There you go.
Kranich actually, he took out Kalento with that exact deck.
It was solid. And I mean, you could play it with, you know, with. I can't even remember some of these cards because they're never played. It's like the 2/3 that gives all your other minions charge and things like that.
You play actual charge because it's supposed to attack now.
Yeah, exactly. So
you just go for it.
Yep.
Few answers here available.
Oh, is he really? Yeah. Is he gonna brawl?
Yeah, I mean, I like the brawl here. It's just so much pressure from your opponent. You don't have an efficient answer to what's going on the board.
Let's see how it turns out. And oh my God, are you kidding me? He wins the brawl. And wow, are you kidding me? Pini getting all the luck in the world right now, and that is the kind of stuff he needed to turn this game around. I mean, just brutal, winning the rag shot, and then that brawl was just ridiculous. It was a 1 in 5.
20% chance. I mean, 20% of the time it works every time.
But I mean, the 1 in 5, and then on top of that, how the bombs landed, a 1 in 2, both hitting him. It's just ridiculous.
Still Molten Giant on the board, and you know he doesn't have a direct way to answer this right now. He can use his Fiery War Axe.
He could spend life total.
Yeah, this is going to shred his armor though. So he's going to execute, and I imagine he's going to play. He's probably going to play Sylvanas or Dr. Boom after this.
He doesn't have Sylvanas, so yeah.
I'm sorry, Alex Straza. Yeah. So it's going to be the armor up, and now the pressure again back on Dart. Dart's got a Shadow Flame available, but he's at 7 costs on the Molten Giant instead of 6, so he can't blow it up directly with that.
The problem is, it's like he's running out of threats. I mean, like you know, you use the Molten Giant for a Shadow Flame. Your opponent still has Alex Straza. He still has Grommash. He still has a lot of gas in the tank, and you're starting to run a little bit dry.
Yep, I gotta believe he's gonna taunt up these Ancient Launchers and hope that can fend off this board until he can find what he needs to again apply the pressure right back. But you know, a couple lucky moments, and Pini's found himself in what I would consider a pretty big advantage right now.
Yeah, no kidding. I feel like it. I mean, jeez.
Siphon Soul's not a bad one, but I mean, I still got to think that taunting up these Ancient Watchers is best.
Well, that is going to be the play.
If one of these Boombots hits his face too, he's going to have access to Molten Giant and Siphon Soul next turn, so I think it's something he's looking for. Iron Juggernaut comes into hand,
oh my God.
and if you look at Dart's deck, he's only got 6 cards left, so every single draw is a potential for 10 more damage.
This could actually be game over right here. If Boombots hit the face for the correct amount of damage, and he draws into it, so, I mean, not going to happen now, but...
I mean, it could still be a lot of pressure coming out. Gives me some poor Boombot rolls. But gosh, I mean, I gotta believe that Iron Juggernaut's still like a really scary position for your opponent to be in. I'd like to see the shield block first, but you know, what play are you going to make other than the Iron Juggernaut? This is really going to force your opponent's hand.
Bouncing Blade, very nice as well. Could really answer, you know, the final threats that his opponent has available.
I mean, Dart, he can't life tap in a position like this, I don't think.
He can't. How does he answer this board? I mean, I feel like he has to use a Siphon Soul. I think it's going to be Drake.
Oh, yeah.
2-3 in, Siphon Soul to 6-5.
He's got a Siphon. What he wants to happen is he wants to draw this Burrowing Mine on a turn where he's going to drop him, where he can Jiraxis, so he can get the Molten Giant out and Jiraxis. So this 2-3 is going to run into Dr. Boom. Siphon Soul is going to take out Iron Juggernaut. He's got a little bit of initiative on his side of the board. The hand from Pini right now is stacked to the brim with threats, but you know, can he make effective use out of these threats right now? He doesn't have a way to really activate Gromosh. And Bouncing Blade going to be able to clear out this Twilight Drake if he wants. I gotta believe that's where he wants to be, but probably a shield block first.
Yeah, may as well shield block first.
He's just going to go for Alex Straza. Oh my gosh, no, he's not. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
That was one of those turns. Wow. Oh, he makes a Death Spite too, so he's going to have Activator for Gromosh next turn. This Twilight Drake's not going to be here. This is a really important turn now for Dart. I actually think he needs to draw the Burrowing Mine right now.
Yeah. Even if he does, though, he's dead. He actually can't play. He can't play Draxus. He doesn't have a way to
taunt.
He doesn't have a taunt, so he needs to tap into a taunt or he's dead because you know the Death Spite plus Gromosh is lethal even if he did Draxus. So why play the Molten Giant first? What's he doing?
I think he's just going to play Sylvanas along with it.
Well, then that's game.
I don't think that he thinks he has a way to actually play around it right now.
Does he even have another taunt in his deck? He maybe has one more taunt.
You know, the Sludge Belchers got used, Sunfury Protectors got used. I think that's what he's thinking about. He doesn't pick up a taunt, and that's actually going to end this game. Pini has got lethal. Just a few lucky moments from Pini leads to an astronomical lead. Granted, he only has a few cards left, but he's got the exact cards he needs. He's so deep into his deck. No surprise to see it at this point. This may be the turning point for Pini right now. I think that game he played it much better than we've seen in the past. You know, maybe he's kind of realized he's been making these small mistakes too, and he's taken a deep breath and gone, you know what? This match is still for $500. There's still some pride on the line. This is a match that I need to win. Yeah, you know, I actually like going Mage here, and there's two reasons why. Number one,
the more I thought about it, I like it.
It's a deck that he's really comfortable with. You know, he mentioned it was his favorite deck to play with. So, in addition to wanting to showcase it, I'm almost certain that he's got more experience with this deck. And then, secondly, when you took a look at the Just Saying match and the Dart matchup, like you said,
it seemed like you needed so much knowledge.
It was like a really high level game where they were both very familiar with each other's lists. So it was really difficult to kind of navigate through a lot of those scenarios, and kind of both of them unwilling to blink in that matchup and kind of go forward. So
I just feel like Pini, it's very unlikely that he has that same level of experience in this matchup because these guys are practice partners, and it looks so hard to navigate that matchup.
Yeah.
You know, even as someone who's probably played it, you know, dozens of times. So
it's got to be extremely difficult. Yeah, because like you said, it's just I'm not going to not to knock on Pini here, but I Just Saying is definitely a better player than he is. And just in that situation, it's like he had so much experience, and it was still a struggle for him.
Yeah.
So with this matchup, it was something that we traditionally thought was a lot worse of a matchup for Mage than we thought it was. But this isn't like a typical Freeze Mage deck, again, where you're trying to end the game in one turn with Alex Straza and Pyroblast. You're trying to grind your opponent into the game and get a lot of repetitive damage and get a lot of value out of things like Duplicate, and really forcing your opponent into a spot where they don't have the option other than to like kill Sylvanas and give you two of them. And that's a spot where I feel like Pini's going to feel a lot of pressure.
Wow.
Probably, it's difficult to exercise the discipline that Just Saying did in that matchup.
And
so
this draw was actually really big off the Arcane Intellect. He has a Duplicate setup. He can drop the Mountain Giant into that. I mean, he doesn't want to give extra draws, so I guess that's going to be the decision. He's going to drop the Mountain Giant next turn.
This is a testament to how long of a game that he intends to play, is that he wants to choke out every single potential for Pini to draw extra cards, because like you said, with a duplicated Mountain Giant, it is so hard.
That's such a high value duplicate. If he can get that, that's massive.
Yeah, so he's just trying to choke out every possible decision here, and Pini just going to be forced to develop with Harrison Jones and hope that this is going to be enough, but I got to believe this Mountain Giant is already a ton of pressure for Pini to have to deal with. He's actually going to go with Sylvanas here.
And I think the reason he's doing that also is because if he played the Mountain Giant, he would have actually burned a card had that been duplicated. So this is definitely a card that you don't really want to get duplicated. Yeah. Plus, it allows him to not burn a card by playing that coin.
He could have used the coin, but he's going to favor developing his board position. And this also is going to reduce the cost of Mountain Giant by a lot still.
Ouch.
So Pini's just going to run straight into it.
Double Sylvanas is
rough. Play his own Sylvanas.
He has polys, though. He has the answers.
There's so many options available for Dart, and this has seemed to be like over and over again. This is a trend in games. Is the player who has more options is the player who's been ahead.
I think this is a clear poly because he doesn't have silences in this deck, and I mean the fact that you already got 2 Sylvanases from your opponent. Look at all the options in his hand. I mean, he has the Alexstrasza, he has his Archmage Antonidas, he has the Mountain Giants, the double Sylvanas. The Sylvanases are going to be so tough for his opponent to answer. And, going forward, there's not really much to do on poly more than that.
Yep. Oh my gosh, he picks up Flame Cannon too, so this is a perfect answer
Mountain
to the
Giant,
Shield
Flame Cannon, Hero Power.
Wow.
Beautiful. Ouch.
Really utilizing Flame Cannon in this matchup. I have to say, I underestimated it originally, but with so many 5/5s being played on a Warrior right now, this makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in conjunction with the Hero Power, it's an easy clear for...
Picks up Bouncing Blades, so now he has the option to either execute or use Bouncing Blades. It looks like he's going to favor development.
And I think that's actually smart because he's, when you take into consideration the fact that there could be, a double Molten Giant turn or something like that, you could get insane value. That could be the turnaround that you're looking for.
I agree with that. Just going to choose to get 3 points of damage in here. Ragnaros comes into hand. Look at this hand. I mean, like, what is best and why? He's just going to go for Ragnaros. And, like, even if this dies, he just doesn't care. He has so much stuff. My gosh. It just goes straight for face. It shreds armor. Goodness gracious. That Acolyte has got to be a great draw right now.
Yeah.
What if he just risked Bouncing Blades right here too, and he just kills the Ragnaros, and he draws 2 cards? Cruel Taskmaster just.
I mean, you could also just trade it in and then Bouncing Blades.
Yeah.
I think that may be the call.
Do you play the Acolyte first? I'd play the Acolyte first.
It would be risky.
Yeah. Well, you can just attack the Ragnaros afterwards.
True.
So 6 points of damage available from that. He's just going to go with a safe bet, pick up his extra card draw.
Been setting himself up for that triple draw with the Death Rattle next turn.
He's getting low on cards, though.
Yeah, he's getting very low on cards, and his opponent is not. I think this is just a pretty nice Sylvanas turn.
You can also Explosive Sheep.
Yep.
He's going to go for Alexstrasza, though. He's taking an aggressive route. I mean, his hand is so good. It's like, why wouldn't he almost?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and the thing is, he's not going to really get, there's not going to be a turn where it's going to get more damage done. It's a guaranteed 11 damage. I like this play. So it's very aggressive stance. He's putting his opponent down to 15 HP already with a big threat on the board. Is he going to draw into an easy answer? He's not. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is, he's going to have to take the damage to the face.
He's got one more card draw, though.
Yeah, it's true.
What if he plays Dr. Boom and then uses the... and hopes that he rolls right on the Dr. Boom bots after this Death Spite sweeps him out?
You could, but it's definitely potential.
He's just going to favor his card
draw. He's going to go for the triple draw.
He feels like he just needs to get something done here instead.
I feel like you almost, I don't know, if you pay the life.
It's so much, though. I mean...
Oh, my God. I can't believe he's actually going to do that. But maybe
he can't feel comfortable going this slow, but, I mean, maybe it's just his only option. You can't rely on a card draw, can you?
No, true.
Oh, my gosh. He actually would have picked it up, too, so he's going to Alex himself, but that's a lot of damage also on your opponent now.
Not so much at this point, though. He is only at 21, so... pretty well handled. I think this is a tough turn to navigate, and I think Pini, came out pretty reasonably, but Sylvanas really going to start to show some value here. He does have to start being worried about Grommash and stuff, so he's going to have to develop the Ice Block. I mean, he
could just Polymorph here, too. I think Poly was just totally fine.
Yeah.
I imagine he wants to save the Ice Block so he could drop Archmage and Ice Block in the same turn.
Well, if he Hero Power,
he's just going to ping.
He must be taunting up then. Yep, he's going to taunt up.
This is a really solid line of play, too. It's just one of those spots where there's been so much removal used, and you kind of saw that your opponent could have going to the ends of the earth to fix this. So he's going to roll the dice with this Dr. Boom, and I think it's just what he's got to do to get things done. He's going to hope it takes one of these boom bots.
Oh,
and it does.
gosh.
That's another important 50-50 that Pini has picked up. Been very apologetic when the RNG's gone his way, though. So
What a nice guy.
Yep. Down to 13, but a massive board lead at this point. And
I mean, you have to say Pini has really had some good rolls in these games. I mean, the 1-in-5 brawl, the 50-50 rag shot, another 50-50 here on the steal, all of which could have ended his tournament run. Some tough decisions to make now. Explosive Sheep, definitely not a bad option here. You could just simply trade into the Alex and then Explosive Sheep could poly here. So definitely some choices to be made. And he's certainly not out of it just yet.
So pretty solid clear here.
I feel like it's going to be Explosive Sheep.
Yeah, this
for sure.
This Boombot is...
Wow.
Whoa. This Boombot for sure is going to be Alex Strauzer, right?
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, he should just play the Sheep first, too. Because sometimes this Boombot's going to hit his opponent's Boombot, and that Boombot will hit the Sheep.
Yeah.
A little bit of a sequencing here. Sometimes he's going to get Ice Block developed there, albeit, a pretty low percent chance, but, some percent's better than no percent.
Of course.
So really, really important turn for Pini to start stabilizing here. Got a few answers in his hand, got a nice board presence. Dart not out of answers yet, though.
No, certainly not.
But, this is a turn where he's got to be thinking about Grommash again.
Yeah. And it's looking like it's going to be the Anti-Ice Ice Block. Will pick up a Fireball from that. Does have the answer, but we'll have to pay the life total to get it. Unless he wants to just simply attack in trade and...
You just slam brawl. Yeah, I agree with paying the life here. I think you got to. You just have to keep pressure on at this point. You're going to run out if you don't.
It's going to be the Iron Juggernaut, which does put on some additional pressure. Could come into play big time. I mean, this is definitely something that could be going to the fatigue battle.
Yeah, Ice Block's not going to protect you from the Burrowing Mine. Another tough turn from Dart.
Definitely getting pretty scary. I mean, Sylvanas and taunting it up wouldn't be too bad here. How do you feel about just Sylvanas, Mad Scientist, taunting both up?
I think it's fine. I mean, you don't want to take extra damage at this point. Again, the Burrowing Mine's in your deck, so, you just have a clock on yourself at this point.
Yeah.
Dart's got 11 cards left in his deck.
I like Sylvanas and Mad Scientist and taunting up. Molten Giant, if he goes Molten Giant, then, you're not going to get the Sylvanas out. And I feel like the Sylvanas, it really does threaten your opponent a lot more. It makes it kind of a harder choice, but we'll see. Could go for the Mad Scientist and...
And he's going to hope the Sludge Belcher just enough. He's going to get the bad news. There is a big game hunter. There's also Ragnaros available.
Oh, jeez.
But this is just so much pressure he's facing down. This Mad Scientist is not going anywhere this turn either, so potential to also draw a secret.
Yeah, I have to feel like it would have been much better to go with the Sylvanas because there's no silences in this deck. It would have been a better answer. I mean, it makes it so much scarier for your opponent to attack into that.
It's a duplicate, but he doesn't have a way to actually start ending this game. So, wow, where do you go from? He doesn't. There's no more secrets left in this deck. Actually, this Mad Scientist is just a 2/2.
Yeah.
Gonna have to fireball just Iron Juggernaut. Well, it's behind an Ice Block, but again, Burrowing Mine could just kill him this next turn.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, he's getting so much armor from this Armor Smith, and
yeah,
I really do think that it was actually a mistake to not go with the Sylvanas on the previous turn. He would have gotten a good steal no matter what it was. It would have been something.
Wow, I can't believe he's not going for Ragnaros in this position. That would immediately end the game from the Burrowing Mine.
Either way, it just looks like it's pretty much done here.
I think he's got to actually risk it to the Arcane Int too.
Oh jeez,
doesn't draw it, and Flame Cannon's not enough to take out this Lothar, but he's just so far behind at this point. Ice Block's going to get popped. Burrowing Mine's in his deck. He doesn't have any pressure out, and there's no sign of lethal on his side of the board.
Yep, this is going to be Ice Block popped here, and Pini is just way too high in HP. I don't see any way that Dark can come back, and it's looking like that. It's going to be that. Well played is called. Pini takes another game. It's all going to be tied up now. It's going to be forced into the Warrior Mirror here. I mean, this could be the end of the game if that nope, it's not going to be drawn yet.
Every single draw, I'm so nervous for him. It's just going to explode in his face.
He needs to win this 50-50, and then he needs the Ragnaros to hit the sled belcher.
Gosh,
He's not
misses
gonna
it.
Win it.
Yep, Dart's just going to concede. He's got no gas left, and all of the pressure is in favor of Pini.
Yep.
It's tied up 2 games to 2 now. But we're going to be heading into Game 5 here now between Pini and Dart. Just, my gosh, it's got to be so bad for Dart in the position like this. You have to feel like you needed the last 2. You had 2 chances to get your opponent to unlock first.
Yep.
You failed on both of those. We talked about Pini being under pressure because he was losing on a big losing streak. Dart's got to be feeling that same thing right now.
Yep, and we are just rebooting our other spectator client, trying to get connected in here with Dart, and we'll have that for you shortly as soon as he does invite us up. But yeah, Dart, he did lose 2 chances already. He has a third, though. He's not out of it just yet. He certainly has a great shot at still winning this series. We are just tied, Let's not kid ourselves. It's nothing too crazy going on here. So, Dart, he's got to win this one, though. He really, really, really wants to be the one to force his opponent to unlock first. And I'm guessing that's a death bite coming out with the coin coming down. It will be. So he will be able to clear up this armor smith. And, I mean, Harrison Jones can't be developed this turn. So, yeah, that is something going for him.
Yeah, if he's got Acolyte or something like that in his hand, he's almost guaranteed to get some value out of it. And now Pini going to do the same thing. He's going to set up his own death bite. This always feigns Acolyte to the other players. So they have to be thinking about how to proactively develop in a situation like that. It's not going to be Acolyte this turn.
And that probably means, it's not going to be used. So Harrison most certainly going to come down here. And Pini off to a better start once again.
Certainly is. Presence on the board is usually worth more than cards in hand, especially in this Warrior matchup.
Certainly.
When you can get that repetitive damage, you can keep armor shredded. You're going to keep your opponent from being able to easily shield slam stuff. They'll have to use something in combination with it. So when they get a development turn on the same time that they can shield slam, that's one of the reasons why Shield Maiden is so good in a matchup like this. But it's also really good just in a position like this where Pini can develop Shield Maiden. He's at a very comfortable armor total for shield slams moving forward. He even picks up Acolyte. I mean, he could just use Acolyte here if he wanted to. I mean, I imagine he's got to go with Shield Maiden, though. It's just so much presence on the board.
He wants to continue shredding that armor, like he said. Just threaten your opponent. Force him to have that answer. And we are now loading into Dart's side of things. Finally, so we will be able to get a peek at his side of the game. And taking a look. He has Whirlwind, he has 2 executes in hand, he's got the Taskmaster, a Brawl, Sylvanas, Alexstrasza. He's got, a pretty solid hand here. And, a lot of what the Weird Mirror comes down to is piecing together your Alexstrasza with the Grommash. That's kind of your combo that you go for to kill people off. And he's going to start to drop.
Yeah, this is a really big advantage over to Pini right now, I have to say. Using a shield slam in a position like that, you can't be happy about it.
No.
Just not a ton of value. He had to use, like you said, he had to use Cruel Taskmaster and he had to use shield slam.
Yeah.
Acolyte, not too good. I imagine that's probably going to be held for a turn or so. He probably wants to couple that with a Whirlwind and execute.
Dropping the Sylvanas doesn't feel very nice either. That's the thing. It's like you don't really want to drop it into an empty board, so it's looking like it will be the Acolyte, but,
Yeah, he's going to Whirlwind straight away, too. He just wants the extra cards.
Yeah, that to me shows a little bit of desperation. And
wow,
he's going to go for
really
the triple
strong draw right now.
Yeah. So it does pay off for him, I would say.
I'm seeing a couple points of armor, but this isn't a board where you're really thrilled to deal with any of these minions.
I mean, he has the slam he can drop, but
he can't drop slam right now. It's going to kill one of these minions. Yeah. If you play Lothep here, it's just going to die. Your opponent's going to get a third card off the Acolyte. If you play Sylvanas, you're in the same boat.
Yeah. I mean, still, if you're going to play Sylvanas, I almost feel like you want to slam, so that maybe has to have something else. But there's not really... I mean, I feel like he's looking at the slam, so it could just be slam Lothep.
He's going to slam himself. Pick up the extra card.
Yep.
Slam the face! It's lethal.
Yep.
Especially with Shield Slam, man. These Warriors, they get the 30 armor one-shot.
I know,
you.
man.
Yeah.
I see. Why didn't he just execute his opponent?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
it's
a real
just
question.
A huge error here.
Really.
Twitch chat always spots that one.
I know. He's at 23. Execute. Simple. All right, so I'm guessing it's just going to be a Lothep. But, wow.
He's going to deny an extra card. I mean, this means he feels really comfortable with the lead he has, and he just wants to apply pressure.
executing an Acolyte?
That's got to be the thought process he has.
Do you agree with that? I really don't.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just.
No, I know.
I'm saying
I know,
he's got to
but
be
I'm
thinking
asking
this.
you.
Yeah, no. I would almost never execute an Acolyte in that position.
And I mean, it's already drawn 2 cards. It's like he just gave him a 3rd card draw by executing an Acolyte. I think that's I don't like that. I don't really have anything else to say about that.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like this.
I don't like it either, Azale.
Thank you.
Dr. Boom for sure going to come in. Shield Slam. You know, in this position, we talked about Shield Slamming Shield Maiden earlier and how you didn't feel very good about it. But in this spot, he's got so much development and board presence, he doesn't feel nearly as bad about doing it. But Brawl's in the hand for Dart. I mean, I got to believe Brawl's is going to be the answer here.
Yeah, I think you're not going to get a better chance at a Brawl. And he's praying one of those bombs is going to win. It could be key. I mean, we've had some great luck on the Brawls for Pini. Is it going to come back to him? And he does win it. So, tip for tat. I mean, he wins the Brawl. His opponent got lucky in a couple, and now, you know, fair is fair.
Only picking up 1 damage on the Boombot too. You know, every point of armor matters.
And I think he's going to just probably pick this off. I mean,
I don't know. I think you go for the armor shred. You know, it looks like you're going to play Baron Geddon next turn anyway.
Yeah. It's kind of scary though, you know, because if you play a Baron Geddon into that and you know hits for 4 or something, kind of sucks.
It's a risk you kind of got to take sometimes.
True.
Well, certainly should have been drawing a card first here if he's going to do that.
Yeah, of course.
You know, again, really quick and confident play. You know, this is something else that he needs to not happen too. Is when he's on a winning streak, when he's been playing more confidently, is not to let that get a hold of your emotions either. You know, you want to still be playing concisely and making sure that you're maximizing.
I feel like this is a good Alex Straw's turn.
Oh yeah, I mean this is I don't see a better one. It's just like,
no, and I mean the scary part is I'm looking across the board, and I mean there's a lot of answers. There's Shield Slam, there's Ragnaros. I mean I think it's just good. Do you think there's any chance that he just even steals it?
I think there's a chance he steals it, but I think Sylvanas is probably just better played as a development piece. Oh my gosh, I thought he was just going to roll the dice on it.
Yeah, I mean, he won it last.
No value going to be gained on Alex Strauss in this game, it looks like, from Pini, but he's got a lot of presence on the board, and man, Dart is going to have to do something about this. Shield Slam is not going to be enough to take out Ragnaros this turn.
That's so brutal.
Can you just take the risk with Sylvanas this turn? Oh, he can steal Ragnaros. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
He just shield blocks a great draw.
Shield Slam, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That is huge. That's so important. I mean, he's going to be able to steal it right away. His opponent doesn't actually have an activation for execute. This could be a game-changing play here.
Oh my gosh.
Such a big steal there. Thanks called out by Dart.
Wow. Ragnaros going straight to the face, off the top turnbuckle, high-risk maneuver.
Big. Okay, he's probably just... he's got to draw.
I mean, Sylvanas is going to come down this turn, I imagine. But
unless he has some sort of a bouncing blade.
Wow.
Wow, what a
full
draw.
Value. Holy moly. Oh my gosh.
Power of that card, man.
Dart is down to just Baron Geddon, Sludge Belcher, Big Game Hunter, and no way to activate these 2 executes that are in his hand.
Brutal. That was such a big draw there.
I mean, you got to go for Baron Geddon. You just need something on the board to get things rolling.
Certainly.
No direct answer on the other side of the board. And he picks up Iron Juggernaut.
Kind of like just, putting...
I like Shield Maiden or Iron Juggernaut right now. I'm not a big fan of Sylvanas unless he's going to execute his own Sylvanas, which he can't do. We all know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, I kind of would just prefer a Shield Maiden or something like that to challenge it. Or, the Iron Juggernaut really put on the pressure. Your opponent only has 19 total life.
He's concerned. When he plays the Sylvanas here instead of the Shield Maiden, it shows that he is a little bit concerned about his life. Maybe he just wants this to act as a 5/5 taunt. Which is exactly what's going to happen. Sludge Belcher's going to come down. There's no way this Harrison's getting played. Not only does he need additional card draws, but weapons are still a threat at this point.
I believe he has gone through... Oh, Fiery Warx could actually be equipped here. So we'll see.
Can they get the mine active?
Does he actually hit with this? I think he might actually... There's a chance he just saves it to kill the Pokemon
I think it's exactly what he's going to do, too.
So, wow. He may not actually swing, and he can get a double card draw. This could be, the kind of help that he needs here.
Each card draw, though, really scary right now because he's got the Burrowing Mine in his deck.
He has to take the risk.
Shield Maiden. Nothing yet. He's got an activator for his execute now.
I feel like you kind of have to.
You're going to play the Armor Smith first, I think, for sure. Then
Yeah, of course.
maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't want to give your opponent availability to execute. Maybe you just want the health on your minions. Like, is the 4th health? Gosh, this is so rough.
Definitely a tough decision to make. If you're not gonna execute this, then do you think you drop the Armor Smith? He looks like he's not going to. I'm surprised he's not going to drop the Armor Smith if he's not going.
He may still just drop it afterwards, though. Favoring the health on a minion like that is not a bad idea.
No. It's going to give up a couple armor for it, but not going to decide to drop it anyway. Maybe he doesn't want to weaken his stance into a brawl or something like that. Well, there's the activation for Grommash. Wow, really?
I mean, he just doesn't really have much left. I mean, he may feel like he's
going to get executed up.
You know,
Do you prefer?
Gosh.
Do you think I like execute more than BGH?
Shield Maiden is going to be. Gosh, I don't know. I think you got to use the execute simply because
it's already activated.
Yeah, it's already activated. So why not? And I imagine the Shield Maiden's going to come down too. So much pressure is on to Pini right now, and he just doesn't have the answers.
I feel like you need to play it though because. Reducing a chance of a brawl or something, should you just hold it? Do you think you need that extra threat down there? Now that Grommash has already been playing, you see the desperation from your opponent. I mean, what threat are you really under? Do you need to play that card this turn? I don't think you do. I think it's totally reasonable to not play it.
He's going to choose to forego the Shield Maiden.
I think it's completely reasonable. Force your opponent to deal with what's already on the board.
Gosh, he's still thinking about it. It's consistent with the line of play last turn when he didn't play Armor Smith.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I kind of agree with it. We'll see if it does work out for him.
Second Cruel Taskmaster, so he can actually start to answer this board now. He's going to choose the Shield Maiden first, and then he's got to execute this Harrison. He just needs the extra body on the board right now, doesn't he? He's going for bigger value. Wow. He's just going to hope that Harrison takes out this Shield Maiden straight away. Ragnaros gets drawn. What a hold on execute, but there's still so many threats on Dart's side of the board that are available. He's not even going to go with Ragnaros' turn. He's just going to develop Shield Maiden and try to force his opponent to deal with that.
His armor is just getting higher and higher and higher. We still have to remember the mine is still in there. That is going to be drawn probably pretty soon. If you could check the cards, that would be great. Acolyte comes out. Does he dig? There's only 5 cards on his deck. I mean, he's going to dig. And what is he looking for here when he is digging? I mean, this could easily go to fatigue, and we'll see. I mean, he's down to 4 cards now. Picks up the Fiery War Axe. That is going to allow him to take out the Ooze at least.
I mean, imagine he's not even going to execute this. He's just going to keep waiting. Very patient with it, and it's so important to be right now. He knows his opponent still has Ragnaros and Grommash in the deck.
Double Armor Smith, wow. These are tough decisions to make. I mean, the armor totals are so high.
I think you got to go with the Armor Smiths first.
Yeah, I like the Armor Smiths.
I mean, at this point, like you said, it's just going to become such a grind that every single point matters. And putting your opponent 1 point closer to fatigue by giving him the extra card, what cost is that at right now since you have so many answers in your own hand and so many of your own threats? Like, I don't feel like you're going to be pressured that much at all. This is easily going to go to fatigue. And since you have the Burrowing Mine in your deck, you want to make sure that you're just maximizing every little point you can get.
A pretty important draw, though, there for Pini.
He's got to deal with what's on the board first. So Cruel Taskmaster going to take out this Shield Maiden. Maybe I spoke too soon.
Does he brawl here? He's going to brawl. He's going to brawl. We'll see if he's actually going to be able to win this. Pini has had 1 in 5 brawls before. This is going to be a key part of this game. Let's see if he's going to be able to come out on top in yet another brawl here. It is not going to be the victory.
Oh. That's painful. He's got to take 5 more damage. And again, we mentioned every point of fatigue mattering right now. So he's got 10 points in his opponent's deck via the Burrowing Mine, but he's got to draw
He's actually
first.
Basically 1 life ahead right now if you count the Burrowing Mine.
Yeah. But Fiery War Axe draw, this is going to apply more pressure.
It may just be the Ragnaros play, which is going to get VGH, but he does have the Fiery War Axe to answer, so, not bad. And he knows his opponent doesn't have Harrison, so, totally reasonable.
I think you got to favor armoring up here, too. I mean, you're getting so close to the fatigue point. That
I think you really do need to armor up every single turn. He's a Fiery War Axe next turn regardless. It's not like he needs to develop it this turn.
Wow, he's looking at Grommash. I don't mind
Grommash is actually a decent answer because he's saying, okay, it can't get BGH'd. if he doesn't have an activation for an execute, he's not right in this case, unfortunately.
Yep. He knows the shield Sams are gone too.
Yeah, so I mean, this is actually, it's pretty smart. It's not going to work out for him, unfortunately, here because there is the activation.
I don't know. I think this is fine, actually, because he pulled a cool Taskmaster out of his opponent's hand, so his opponent's just missing one more thing at this point.
Very true. And there is the easy answer.
I gotta believe this is the Ragnaros turn.
Yeah, you have to think so. Is BGH to answer?
Burrowing Mine gets drawn, 10 armor gets shredded. He's still at a comfortable life total. I don't think this Acolyte
is one of the worst cards.
Yeah, I don't think this is getting played at all, but his turn is already pretty much, in my opinion, set in stone with the Fiery War Axe and the Ragnaros. I mean, you just want the extra damage at this point. Just so tough to be in.
2 cards. And 1 card left here for Pini. So, I mean, they're pretty much down to what they have to win with here. The problem is, I mean, okay, Fiery War Axe cleans up the Taskmaster. Ragnaros gets dropped, shreds 8 armor. That puts him ahead. It is going to get cleaned up, obviously, by the BGH. And then, we're going to have to see the BGH played. And it just looks like Dart is just playing ahead on the Fatigue War.
That's what it looks like to me, too.
We have to see what the last card is in the deck.
I don't actually remember what this last card is. It's so important right now, though.
Has to be a good one, or he's just simply going to lose to Fatigue.
Yeah,
straight up.
He's not going to have the answers to apply pressure. It is a legendary.
It's an Alexstrasza.
Wow. But, I mean, this is getting 0 value right now unless you want to hold. Wait a minute. Can he hold this for the Fatigue battle and heal himself back up for enough to make the difference?
That might actually be the card that he needed. We'll see what the last cards are here for Dart.
Dart's got 1 card left after this one.
Sludge Belcher.
Sludge Belcher
There's actually such a high chance of him just playing the Big Game Hunter for damage now, too. Unless he's actually counting the cards and remembers the fact that there is still, an Alexstrasza available.
Wow.
He obviously knows Alexstrasza in the deck. He knows it hasn't been played.
Yeah.
It's just how much attention is he playing. And I think the fact that he didn't play it says he actually knows that's the last card, which is really impressive here.
My gosh.
I don't think he's going to win on...
I don't think Pini can afford to hold this. He's going to take too much damage from what's on the board.
Dart has it with the BGH, with the hold on the BGH. Such an intelligent play.
He's got this locked. His last card's even Dr. Boom.
That is going to do it.
There's no way that he's going to be able to recover from this situation. He knows the second card isn't Brawl. Or he knows the last card isn't Brawl, rather, not a second Brawl. My gosh, just such discipline exercise from both of these players here, I think. And just at the end of the day, the way the cards panned out, it just wasn't going to work for. It just wasn't in the cards for Pini. Even despite the 10 extra damage that he got from Iron Juggernaut.
And the bouncing blade that takes out the Ragnaros from full HP. But we have to look back to that Sylvanas turn. The Sylvanas being able to steal that Ragnaros was huge, even though it was cleaned up by the bouncing blade. It was a big swing turn. Very well played game there by Dart. And he is going to be the one to force forward. And we are going to be going into the game, guys. It's a potential final one. Let's see if Dart can close it out here against Pini.
Yeah, I mean, just based on the success he's had with it, I've got to be happy that he's chosen to unlock this Druid deck. I think his draws with it in his games in this match so far was a little bit subpar. And I mean, at one point he had 2 swipes and 2 Force Natures in his hand, but no minions on the board. So just really not getting anything going for him. And in a spot like this, just look at the hand he's already started with. He's got Innervate and Spectral Light. Spectral Light, not a card that can be dealt with stuff like Shield Slam and Execute.
No. And I mean, these tech cards can actually get some big value against the Warrior as well. The addition of them, sometimes they can sit as kind of dead cards. But he has the ability for the turn 2, Coin, Innervate, Spectral Knight, which is very likely going to be what he goes for.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's got to go for it. I mean, if you're playing with Spectral Knight and you're playing against Warrior and you're not playing it here, you're not playing it right.
Yeah. And he is just kind of, he's adding it up. He's adding up those numbers. Okay, 2 + 2 + 1, it is 5. He's good. Yep. All right, so he's going to go for it. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, there's a high chance of this getting in 12 damage.
Oh, least. Yeah. I mean, that's if Dart chooses to use a Fiery War Axe.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty tough scenario to be in. I mean, you have to, what on earth just happened? Okay, let's talk about this. Why did he choose to not go with Spectral Knight here?
No idea. I completely agree with you. There's no easy answer to it. The earlier you play, the better it is in a matchup like this. It's not like it's just going to get, executed or something. You can't just get Taskmaster executed. There's no answer. I mean, I actually just am blown away.
Did this Dr. Boom blind him to what this turn was supposed to be?
I guess. I mean, I guess his eyes maybe got big for a turn 5 Dr. Boom, but the fact of the matter is, you're giving your opponent the chance to draw more cards. You're giving your opponent the chance to have those answers.
He still played Chill Wind, did he hear? This actually still continues to mess with his curve a little bit. He doesn't have a turn 6 drop. I mean, this innervate's just played off curve now.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked that he didn't do that. I think that was a
wow. Look at Dart though. He's going to have to start taking damage straight away. So, pretty significant value that he's picking up for it. And again, he threw his curve off by playing it this way. Yeah. I got to believe that if he ends up losing this game, it's because he didn't play this Spectral Knight on turn 2.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked. I mean, he still has a really good hand. It's not like he's guaranteed to lose or something, but you have to feel he would be in an even better position. Can just hit face and kill that off with the Death Rattle, drop Sludge Belcher.
He can just Whirlwind too. I mean, there's a lot of stuff he can do.
True. Could save it for the next threat. Would be very legitimate.
I imagine he probably wants to develop Sludge Belcher though.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here because there's no like 4-drop or anything to do that with. So I'm thinking it's just going to be hit the face, drop the Belcher. Seems like a pretty nice play, and it is going to be the option.
Yeti got an 8 points of damage though. Nothing to scoff at.
No, the Yeti was definitely effective, and we were talking a lot about that, but it's not like it went horrible for him or anything like that. I like the Loatheb here a lot actually to be able to answer this, but I mean at the same time, Spectral Knight very viable as well because it can Spectral Knight plus the hero power answers, but then you are committing to that hero power. He's thinking about Dr. Boom as well, and I mean Whirlwind Execute going to be the answer. BGH is sitting there too, so there are going to be answers, and this is the downside of waiting all these turns.
This is kind of a tough spot. I mean, I can see him Black Knighting here too. I mean, I like dropping just creating tension on the board for 2 reasons. First one is I think Dart is pretty unlikely to just outright kill this Spectral Knight.
Yeah, so do I.
Now that being said, you look at his hand specifically, he's got Fiery War Axe.
And the fact of the matter is there's a high chance that he avoids it with his Sludge Belcher, which opens it up for an on-curve Black Knight that you don't have to use energy
that's exactly what Pini's looking for here. So Dart may be picking up on something like that, but doesn't look quite
and
like
if he drops a Shield Maiden, I think that's going to be the answer. I mean, if he equips Fiery War Axe, he's going to trade.
There's still a chance that if he drops his Shield Maiden, that he does run this Sludge Belcher, and I'm not going to put it past him.
I'd be surprised. I think if he was going to do that, he would have gotten the Fiery War Axe on. We'll see, though. Yeah.
Kind of risk it to Black Knight. If you're looking, okay, so think about the game state real quick. I mean, this is a really tough turn to play, but do you lose to Black Knight in a position like this? I don't think you do, but it certainly is providing a big swing to your opponent. So I think that's really influencing his decision. Like if Sludge Belcher was his only minion on the board, I think he probably would have attacked this Spectral Knight. I think that's really the difference here.
Either way, though, it's going to pay off for Pini, and I mean, he's still in a great spot. So, he has the Dr. Boom turn next turn. He still has Innervate. He has, a very full hand. He has a lot of options here. He's looking good.
If he drops this other Shield Maiden too, Pini's going to have a really good way to clean this up.
Yeah, swipe is very nice.
Yep. A really high life total, but gosh, he's certainly costing himself quite a bit here. So swipe, almost certainly going to get played, I think.
Yeah, I would think so.
There's just not a better turn to swipe this. You're going to take out 2 5-power minions at the same time. You pay some life, but you're the one who's the aggressor in this matchup. Exactly. You're the one who's got to put on the pressure here.
Not really too worried. What?
Oh my gosh! And a blunder from Pini that had to be a misclick.
That was so bad.
Oh my gosh!
He is really cracking under pressure here.
Wow! And he's just spamming with a mistake that he knows that it is. He's just sacrificed all of his board presence on one misclick.
Oh my god, that is so bad. First the Spectral Knight, now this. I mean, you just have to think he's crumbling under the pressure. It's absolutely crazy to me that. Oh god.
Fortunately for him, Dart isn't able to develop his board this turn. I mean, you got to look at the bright side of something after a mistake like that.
I mean, the thing is, he's honestly very lucky that he's still in this game after that kind of a result. Like after what has happened, he's lucky that his opponent hasn't just had amazing cards and just been able to, because in a very, very close game, those 2 turns 100% would have just decided it. He's had amazing cards, and his opponent really hasn't had the best curve, the best answers. So the fact of the matter is, he's still in it when
he's actually pretty far ahead.
Yeah. If you
take a look at what's happening here,
I know,
Alex Strauss is so likely to get developed, and he's just got Big Game Hunter waiting in the wing for him.
It's crazy to me that he is still in such a good spot.
Yeah. Dart missed that 1 turn of development.
Yeah. This is ridiculous, but anyway, Alex Strauss is probably going to come down here. And I mean, it's possible that he wants to go with the Grommash. I mean, do you think there's any way he just Grommashes and trades? I think it's really unlikely.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think he's going to look for lethal next turn.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. Which is something that he does have to be worried about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I certainly would be attacking with this Fiery Warx in the spot. You got to apply pressure to your opponent in a situation like this. I mean, you just don't have much else going for you. Especially once this big game hunter comes down.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he doesn't attack here, I think it's just outright a mistake. I think he's got to go for it.
You know, even considering the fact that it could be used to clear a baton in a different way or something like that, you think?
I mean, it could be, but you have Shield Slam, you have Execute. You know, you're thinking about Sludge Belcher, I think, for sure, but a pretty clear-cut turn here for Pini, and it's really just fortunately for Dart, he doesn't have any pieces of combo left, so he's just only got so much of pressure he can apply to the board. You know, he's taking a lot of damage here, but he's got to figure out a way to actually kill his opponent because he's facing down 9, 11, 15. He's facing down 16 damage just as it is, so not only does he have to develop, but he has to get the damage done.
I mean, he can Whirlwind Execute. He can start to deal with some of this.
If he Whirlwinds, though, he loses his Grommash unless he chooses to go for Grommash right now, which I think he's going to go for Grommash right now. Like, it just looks to me like it's got to be
Whirlwind Grommash, Execute. Yeah. Just risk it, I guess.
What
on
earth
I feel like you're right.
On?
I mean, I guess he just doesn't feel like he can, but I feel like he really has to go for it. I mean,
how else are you going to kill your opponent? I mean, you have to be worried about Force Nature, Savage Roar, Swipe. Like, all of these cards have to be on your mind. You have to figure out a way to kill your opponent.
You have another weapon in hand as well. I mean, you could put 13 damage in. You can put your opponent to 3 HP.
Both of these players are really feeling pressure.
Oh, he's going to trade with the Grommash. So that is the choice. He's really feeling the pressure. So he's going to clear everything up, I guess. He's going to use the axe. He's going to trade the Grommash into the BGH.
He's so worried about combo, but this doesn't stop combo from being a thing.
Yeah.
This is just...
Okay, Force of Nature is drawn.
Gosh, I mean...
He's going to look to draw into something else. I mean...
You know, Force of Nature is his way to answer this Grommash this turn, so he's got to use that. And then this Yeti's going to come down for sure afterwards, and I got to think he's going to unveil the Shade given the sequence of plays that just happened.
Yeah. Would he have actually had lethal if he didn't clear anything? I think he wouldn't have had lethal this turn, right?
So he clears 4 points of damage on the board, so we would have had 4.
But either way, if Pini armored up, he would be 1 damage short of actually killing him with the Fiery Warx. So
it would have been 18 points of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's still in it, but just by a very small margin. I almost feel like you have to brawl.
Oh gosh.
Is that the friggin'? You have to.
Don't say that. Don't say he's got to brawl. That's so brutal.
What else do you do? You can Fiery Warx.
Your opponent didn't just kill you with Force Nature, so
yeah.
You got to think that creating board tension could possibly swing this game back in your favor.
Fiery Warx, drop a Sylvanas, armor up. You think then just kill off the Shade?
I don't think you kill the Shade. I think you just drop the Fiery Warx and drop Sylvanas.
Really? You think
if he doesn't? Shade? I mean, he's got to kill the Sylvanas with both of his minions or silence it or something. You have to do something to get back in this game. You just use Grommash.
Well, if you don't kill it though, does he have? If he has, that would be 6 plus.
I have no time for games.
If you die next turn.
I mean, you could die to some draws, yeah.
8. No, but I mean, even without the draw, Shield Slam is actually probably a better answer.
Gonna be taken out by a hero power now.
Innervate. Well, he can start to draw. You can see what he can draw into here.
I don't think he's going to draw, though. I think he's just going to hero power and develop Doctor Boom, yeah. Okay. And he feels pretty safe about it. Again, Grommash has been used.
I mean, I feel like using your Innervate to draw isn't even that bad in this position, though. What do you save your Innervate for? Yeah, I think this is totally fine. And if you're
I don't like innervating to draw here, because what are you going to draw that you're going to play?
Yeah, but I mean, it's just to work through it, I guess. I don't know.
Just do it next turn.
Scenario or something like that.
You can just do it next turn.
True.
Yeah.
Piloted Shredder.
Pretty big waste, I would say.
Well, it doesn't really make a difference if you do it this turn or the next turn, does it?
Well, you have an Innervate in your hand. Maybe you just don't need to Innervate next turn.
Well, it's looking like the brawl.
Yeah, it's got to be brawl here. I mean, do you want Dr. Boom to win this situation?
Yeah, he might actually. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much either way. I don't think.
It's a 1 damage roll too.
Wow. I feel like you just drop.
I think you Harrison. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not worried about 1 damage in this spot, and you need development on the board. You have to pressure your opponent.
The problem is though, this is the problem here. If you drop the Harrison, and he bumps the bomb into it, and it kills your Harrison.
I mean, I think that's a price you're willing to pay at this point.
Oof.
You know, what if it doesn't?
Keeper is a pretty good answer here as well.
I'm really surprised he chose the Wild Growth because he can run the bomb in. If the bomb fails, then he can just hero power and Keeper the grove this.
Let's see how it hits. 3. Wow. So it's probably just gonna be Shredder. I mean,
I would
just gonna drop the Keeper, go face 2. No reason not to with 2 in your hand.
You want Savage Roar to be a big threat to your opponent right now. I mean, you don't have one yet, but you're going to draw one eventually. Acolyte of Pain, no use. I think this is just going to end up being it. There's just so much pressure that's been under Dart's side of the board. You know, I think he misstepped pretty big in this game by not taking a bigger risk than he should have.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and just really everything working in the favor.
Penny, even despite not using the Spectral Knight.
Yeah, despite foregoing the Spectral Knight.
And throwing in his Black Knight, accidentally killed his own Black Knight.
You know, he's not quite dead yet, but I mean, he's definitely losing a lot of ground here.
We have to think what cards are still in the deck here. You know, what can Dart get that's going to start to bring him back in this game?
Sludge Belcher could be a good one.
Sludge Belcher could be. See, Baron-Geddon. Baron-Geddon does kill off the Shade. It's going to put him down to 5, though. Does he actually live if he uses the weapon?
Yeah, he does. Wow.
Still alive.
Oh my gosh, he could actually win this game.
Yeah, he could, man. This is so close. There are still, I mean, the second Force of Nature would still end the game.
Yeah, he needs 2 points of damage here.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. You know, we were counting Dart out of this game, but and he picks up a swipe
and that is
to end it.
Yeah, there's still a lot of draws here for Pini that could have ended the game. I mean, swipe, second Force of Nature, even the Savage Roar would have ended the game. You know, there were a number of outs there for him, so not too unlikely. Getting pretty deep in his deck, that's at least 4 outs, 5 outs even maybe that he could have gone. We have the feed from both players, so let's go on in. It's going to be games number 7, guys. This is the deciding one. It's all come down to this. Ooh, really nice opening hand here for Dart.
Yeah, you know, we haven't seen too many Ancient Allures drawn, I feel like, from Druids in this tournament, but
no.
You know, I don't think they're trimming one of them. I'd be very surprised if they were. Like that he's holding on to this Wild Growth. He doesn't have a turn 3 play, so no reason to coin it out.
Yeah, and that's actually a mistake I see a lot of people make on ladder. Is just coining Wild Growth. Even at legend ranks and stuff, I see people just coining out Wild Growths with no follow-up play, and it's
yeah. Sometimes that can be indicative of the fact that someone's using Harvest Golem and Shaded Naxxramas.
Yeah, and just praying to draw into it, I guess.
Yeah, which I think is fine. You know, how much value are you really going to get out of a coin if you don't have a 5-drop in your hand? You know, sometimes you're not going to get any.
Can make a big difference sometimes, though. Yep. You know, getting an earlier turn on a
and look at this. Flame Cannon is a perfect answer to Spectral Knight when you've got a Mad Scientist on the board. This is exactly the kind of scenario we were talking about, where if Dart was able to utilize this, that he could develop a massive lead.
Because it's not a targeted spell, it negates the fact that it's immune to spells.
Gets a duplicate off of it. I'm really surprised he chooses to not develop this Mad Scientist, but the reason he's doing that is because he's got Twilight Drake in his hand.
Yeah, he wants to get that Twilight Drake. We've also seen him really trying to get those. Imagine if he draws another Flame Cannon here.
Oh gosh, I don't really know if he needs. I mean, what are draws in his deck that are better though?
True.
A lot of stuff he could pick up. You know, Arcade Int may easily be one of those. He can just sheep
also
and ping.
I really like. Just get rid of the Shade.
So he's got multiple ways to deal with this. He's still got that other Flame Cannon in his deck too, and like we said, matching up so well versus these mid-sized minions that Penny's going to be playing with. I gotta believe Piloted Shredder would have been a blessing earlier, but just gonna have to go with that.
Still quite a nice draw.
Yeah, I think it's very good. But
I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think it's just going to be the Sylvanas now. You know, he's always prioritized in the games that we've seen getting that duplicated. So I really think we're going to see that Sylvanas come down this turn.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine really what you want to do besides play this Sylvanas right now.
It's such a nice turn for him.
Oh, that's why he didn't play the Mad Scientist. He had duplicate on the board. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he didn't want to get that duplicated.
Wow, and look at the risk he's having to take. Straight away.
What do you think about Flame Strike here?
Yeah, Flame Strike here is brilliant. You're going to take the minion away that Piloted Shredder summoned, so you get to evaluate if you want that big enough. Like say it just.
I love Flame Strike here.
I mean, I can't imagine not Flame Striking here. You're going to clear your opponent's board. You're going to take a minion away from him. You're going to keep board presence. Is there a better possible Flame Strike turn available in this game?
There's not. There's not. This is the turn. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, if the bombs land poorly, he could actually get. Okay, so There you go. So he is going to be able to get so much out of this. He's going to be able to steal away with Direwolf Alpha. Not really the best minion to steal.
He's going to get low duplicate value now, but I mean, the whole point is that he's fended off this entire board position. A second Savage Roar picked up. Agent Allure is going to be forced to draw some cards, but Dart has already got this in check. It's just a matter of if he can fend off this onslaught of minions.
Well,
that he's going to
there's no guarantee he's going to get bad duplicate value because he can Frostbolt, trade it in, and then play the Twilight Drake, so he can get the Twilight Drake duplicated, and that's going to be the play here, which is really nice. I mean, it ends up avoiding that.
I don't think he minds playing Mad Scientist here. I would like to see Mad Scientist play here as well. But, again, concerned with the Twilight Drake value that you could potentially get off of this.
Yep.
But I don't think your Twilight Drake is dying anytime soon. Druid's a deck that wants to apply pressure to you instead of to your minions. So, the initiative for trading is going to be on Dart's side of the board. So even though that he's fended off pretty much everything that's been thrown at him, this is one of the reasons I would have liked to see Mad Scientist developed, is just to get stuff on the board.
Yeah, and I mean, it can help to avoid drawing those secrets into your hand, which is something that you don't really want to do, like you've talked about earlier. Being able to have that down and perhaps get the ice block played off that. Interesting.
Really surprised.
I would have thought he'd play the Drake for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Drake here. I mean, he's concerned about combo if he's playing Ice Block, because this would be lethal with combo right now. It's 20, 21, 25 points of damage.
And I mean, he has 2 Savage Roars, so it's potential to draw into it. So it is the safe play. I don't know if he wants, playing the Mad Scientist now kind of goes against way he wasn't last time.
I think he's realized that he can't continue to fight it off forever. He's got to just develop the board and hope to get value out of his stuff.
Let's see what the draw is. Wrath. It's going to be the draw. I think it's going to be a draw. Yeah, it should be. Swipe is quite nice here. You can clean it all up. And
very diligent to make sure that the Mad Scientist is what's duplicated as well.
Yeah, in this case, I don't think the Drakes are even really that powerful to get duplicated because his hand is kind of light, but still.
It's a second duplicate here. Actually, this Drake is going to get duplicated if he chooses to attack it. So going to get 2 duplicates. I'm sorry, going to get 2 Twilight Drakes out of this as well. Those are going to be pretty hefty, but again, facing down a lot of damage at this point. I would love to see that Wild Growth first as well. Going to hold on to the excess mana. Nope, he's not going to.
Let's see what he draws. It's an Innervate. And I mean, double Savage Roar.
Wow, hang on a second. That Frostbolt draw, I think that's changing things a little bit here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you could just probably double Drake and Frostbolt.
Well, you could Drake Molten Giant as well. I mean,
yeah, probably the Molten Giant makes more sense. But
he's going to take the damage. He wants the Molten Giant for free, so he wants to be able to use Alexstrasza and Molten Giant one turn. If 4 more damage gets pushed through here and it doesn't pop this Ice Block.
Wow, are you kidding me? He's not going to Frostbolt that? That would be shocking to me.
Okay, so if he doesn't Frostbolt this, what he's hoping is that his opponent goes for lethal, doesn't have an answer to this board, and he's going to counter lethal with Alexstrasza. That's what he's looking at right now.
Yep.
Wow. Dart going to take a big risk here. And is Pini going to take the bait on this? He picks up a taunt, but a taunt's not potentially not enough in a situation like this.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, this is.
Oh my gosh!
These are some hard decisions that have to be made by these players. I mean, a lot of pressure on the line here. A lot of different ways that you could play it out.
Is Pini going to spot the trap that Dart is trying to set right now?
Wow, man, this is tough. He needs to start clearing. Let's see what he's going to go for. It is going to be taunt. Both have as well.
Ice Block's not going to get popped this turn. This is going to be so much potential damage on Pini's face. The Ice Block is just sitting there. Oh my gosh.
Wow. All right, let's see what the draw is, if that comes into play. Sunfury Protector. The thing is, Sunfury Protector, I don't even know if you want to taunt up with the risk of Black Knight. He still has another Ice Block in his deck, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think you want to develop Mad Scientist, or do you think you just Alexstrasza go for it? I kind of like just Alexstrasza and go for it.
Just like Alexstrasza.
Yeah, I think you should just go for it here. You can, and you're gonna have the second Ice Block the next turn. You can even Frostbolt your own Mad Scientist to develop a second Ice Block if you need to.
If he Alexstrazzas, though, he's not going to be able to recover from some situations where he needs to Alexstrasza himself post Ice Block because it's true.
But he does have Mad Scientist Frostbolt to get a second Ice Block.
I mean, this is a tough spot. He's really got to make a decision and to kind of go forward here. I can't blame him at all for using this Twilight Drake, especially when he's got this Sun Fury Protector in his hand. I imagine that...
Taunt up 2 Drakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he can use it as a recovery turn. I mean, his board is extremely strong. The thing is, there's
anytime
ways...
he's got 15 points of damage on board too. I mean, Alex Strauss is going to threaten lethal in that situation.
Okay, is he going to taunt up? That's a question.
Oh, he's got to taunt up. He's got to try to get this.
He's got to just play the Mad Scientist then too. Just drop the Mad Scientist.
Wow, he's actually going to trade the board down. Actually, this is a really strong trade here.
Really good.
Dart.
I mean, it devalues the Savage Roar so much.
This is what happens when he didn't pop the Ice Block, is he gave his opponent an ability to make this turn happen right here. Oh my gosh, how much damage can he deal to his opponent's board? Is he going to double? He needs to calculate this out. I mean, he's playing this so quickly.
He needs to take some time and think about this. Okay. Well, how much can he actually clear here? I mean,
when he clears this, though, he's like almost crippled his potential to actually win the game after this.
Because there's still the second Ice Block. You know, he's giving his opponent 2 guaranteed turns to win, taking away kind of his potential for lethal here. I mean, he may just pop the block. We'll see how much he's going to clear. Because the fact of the matter is, if 15 damage stays on board, Alex Straza ends the game. Right now, there is that much damage. I mean, he has to kill the Molten Giant. He's got to kill the Molten Giant.
This is only 14 damage here. Okay, so he killed the Molten Giant. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So he is going to pop the block.
Yep.
And there is going to be 8 damage sitting on board here for Dart.
I gotta believe that Dart is willing to Alex Straza himself and take the risk.
I mean, you just saw a combo come down. He's got Alex Straza himself here. Fact is, though, he has Innervate for the hero power. So he actually, if he doesn't taunt up, he actually wins unless he frostbolts his own thing to get another Ice Block or something, because he actually wins with the hero power combo. With if that is drawn, that would be the end of the game. We'll see what the play is going to be. Is he going to taunt up? Taunting up may be the safer play. I mean, you could frostbolt your own Mad Scientist, get a second Ice Block.
You got to feel comfortable sitting behind 15 points of life. Your opponent's got to have exactly Force of Nature, Iterate, Savage Roar. He doesn't pick up his second Force of Nature.
That should be game.
I mean, he can draw Big Game Hunter. He's going to heal himself instead. And now Innervate's going to come out on Chillwind Yeti.
Nope.
No, he's not going to do that.
So putting himself at 22 HP, we have 16 damage sitting right there. 3 more, so 19. We have
second Molten Giant gets picked up, and there's so much pressure on the board from Dart. I think he may be able to lock Pini out of the game in just a few plays.
He's gonna establish his second Ice Block.
There goes the second Ice Block. Frostbolt's going to come out.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to kill him this turn. He can just set up his taunts. There's almost no way for Pini to come back now. If he just gets a double taunt out here, he has his Ice Block up. Can just clear this Ancient Allure off the board. And I mean, he's looking so good right now. And this is probably going to be it. Dart looking like he has this game all but wrapped up. It is going to be the 4-3 victory. It's looking like.
I don't think there's any way that Pini can draw out of this game. I mean, look at how much presence is on the board. I gotta believe you want to
just kill the Ancient Allure.
Yeah, you just don't want to kill one of your big minions.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. He's going to use the hero power instead.
That's fine as well. I mean, it just saves extra damage for you. You can just play Mad Scientist. You taunt up your 2 worst minions and just move forward.
And that has got to be that.
What on earth can he do to get out of this situation? He's like Poison Seeds, like Starfall, and then
Black Knight comes down. He can innervate up a taunt, but that is not going to be enough here. This should be able to do it here for Dart. Dart is going to be your 3rd place finisher here. He is going to win it. Yep. There is the concede from Pini. Pini battling back valiantly, comes right to the edge. So close, but oh my God, what a finish there for Dart. He's got to feel so happy about that. Is going to secure the 3rd place finish here at Tavern Takeover number 3.